I love our song.
I think I'm going to have to make that longer. I think we're going to have the whole tune and boogie all the way through.
I think so too. I know some of our listeners are also jiving with the music, so it's absolutely awesome. Sara, how are you today?
I am fantastic. Janine, how you doing?
Yes, also good. Also good. Thanks so much for asking. And a warm welcome to everybody to another empowering episode of Woman Wise podcast. I'm Janine Lingenfelder, joined by my wonderful co-host, Sara Haboubi. And our podcast is really all about uplifting, inspiring, and connecting women within Dubai. And today we have an incredible guest with us. Hold on to your seats, ladies, because it is Sam Minhas, and she is the founder of She Knows Best, an amazing platform dedicated to providing women with a safe and anonymous space to seek and share advice. Sara, what do you say about that?
Absolutely, Sam. You're very welcome to the Women Wise podcast. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me, Sara, Janine. Thank you so much.
Well, we are truly excited to have you on today. Your journey, your passion for supporting women, it completely aligns with what we're doing here on the podcast. So before we dive into all about She Knows Best, maybe you can share with the audience a little bit about yourself and your journey, that led you to create the platform.
My name is Sam, and I have lived in Dubai for 10 years now. I am originally from the UK, and all of my family is based in the UK. I am a teacher. I work full-time as a teacher, and She Knows Best is a passion project that launched only 4 months ago. I'm incredibly proud of She Knows Best, and the movement, the sisterhood, is growing rapidly week on week. So I'm super excited to be here with you both to talk a little bit about She Knows Best and the message behind it.
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing.
That's exciting. A full day teacher and then a passion project which is changing the world. Really, really exciting. So tell us a little bit about how you've gotten to the point of actually starting She Knows Best, because clearly there's a story and there's a emotional story behind this. So please do share that with us.
Well, Janine, She Knows Best is something that I have been dreaming about for many, many years. And the initiative was actually, it stemmed from my own battle with loneliness, extreme loneliness, which then led into social anxiety. Before I moved to Dubai, I was very close to my family, and I still am. And I had a very small circle of friends. But after I moved to Dubai, it was harder for me to remain in contact and to connect with my friends back in the UK. And I slowly started to realize that making friends, it sounds like it's a really easy concept. Just go outside and say hi to everybody and anybody. But actually making friends and having deep, meaningful connections with others, I found it incredibly hard to do when I first moved to Dubai. And also, Sara and Janine, I found that with the transient nature of Dubai, a lot of people are here for a short period of time and then they have plans to move elsewhere, which meant that a lot of friendships that I did make with incredible women often died out quite quickly because they used Dubai almost as a pit stop for themselves and their family until they were moving elsewhere. So She Knows Best is something that I've been, like I mentioned, dreaming of and needed for a very long time. It is based around the idea that women can come together to share, receive, and give advice anonymously. When I first moved to Dubai, as you both know, there are many hurdles that we have to overcome, not just professionally, but personally. With moving to a new country, there are many challenges. And I often found that I had absolutely nobody to ask for advice, to kind of just talk about, is this normal? Am I feeling, is what I'm feeling the norm? Have you been through a similar experience? And it was incredibly isolating to think that there was not a single person that I could reach out to. I developed really serious social anxiety after that, which almost was it was very difficult to manage, because with my social anxiety, it made it even harder for me to put myself out there to make those connections with other women. Janine and Sara, there were days where my extreme loneliness was crippling. And from that, the social anxiety would restrict me to just being completely housebound, and I couldn't leave the house. So with that, I turned to online forums that perhaps I could reach out to women online. And I decided to join groups online with a very popular social media platform. And I realized that there were other women who were commenting about feeling exactly the same way that I was. And there's a particular post, Sara and Janine, and even to this day, it sticks with me. And it was a woman who had also moved over from the UK. And she was reaching out to the online female community on the social media platform and asking for advice about what to do. She hadn't made any friends, both professionally and personally. She was really struggling, and Dubai was not what she had hoped it would be. And for some people, Sara and Janine, that is a reality. And she was scared about, she wanted to move back to the UK, but she was scared about moving back to the UK because she was afraid to be labeled a failure by her friends and family. And she was reaching out almost as a last ditch attempt at anyone giving her some advice to let her know that, are things going to get better? What should she do? And I really, really wanted to reach out to her, and I wanted to tell her, I've been in your position. You're not alone. I still have those moments where I just want to pack my bags and leave. But I wanted to let her know that I might not have all the answers and solutions to her problems, but in that moment, she wasn't alone. And Sara, Janine, I have to admit, I was a coward and I didn't comment on the post. I read it, I contemplated commenting, but I soon quickly realized that within that specific group, my colleagues, some of my friends, and some of my family were on that group, and I wasn't quite ready to share some of my most vulnerable thoughts about living and moving to Dubai with the rest of the world effectively. So with that, I didn't post, and the woman and her submission stayed on my mind for weeks, if not months. And I think that was the pivotal point that I realized that I myself and other women need a secure, anonymous, safe platform where they can share, receive, and give advice with no judgment and no bias. And that's where She Knows Best was born.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. So can I ask for, because obviously a lot of people have heard the term social anxiety. And obviously with the work I do, when I hear a term, I always try and explore, what does that mean for you? Because obviously it means different things to different people. So how was this manifesting for you? What did that mean to you?
For me, Sara, when I used to open up to a few people and tell them that I'm suffering from social anxiety, a lot of people would say, what? You? Really? You suffering from social anxiety? Just pull yourself together. And those comments used to cut me like a knife because, Sara, you're completely right. Social anxiety and anxiety itself can affect women and people in many different ways. And for me personally, it was absolutely crippling. I developed panic attacks that I didn't even know were panic attacks, but it was my body's way of telling me that I am in a fight or flight mode. Please help me here. Sara, I recently went to an event, a networking event, and I didn't realize that I was actually having a panic attack 5 minutes before entering the event because I realized that I was sweating profusely and I actually had to vomit to make myself feel better, to build up the courage to enter that networking event. For me, social anxiety, Sara, Janine, for me, it's almost like a force that I can't control that completely takes over my mind and my body, and there's no reasoning with that force. And I would like to say that I'm trying to manage and cope with my social anxiety day by day. Is something that I still suffer from even now. And I'm proud to say that, I'm trying. And that's, I think, the first step when it comes to dealing with social anxiety and the way it affects me, is that I acknowledge that I suffer from it. I'm very vocal when I speak to people about it. And I know what I need in that moment to kind of regulate my emotions. But it is, honestly, it is crippling. And I feel for others out there that I know also are suffering from social anxiety. And we are in this together. And day by day, we will help to combat social anxiety.
Yeah, well, this is amazing. I can see as you're talking, it means so much to you, and you can see how much you want to just share and make sure that there's no one alone in this world. And I really, really admire the fact that you're so open about the struggles with social anxiety, because not a lot of people will actually acknowledge that either. And you've pushed through even with the panic attack at a networking event. My God, that is very scary. Just listening to this, my heart just went crazy, and I just wanted to hug you because
I was just going to say, I just want to give you a hug, and I felt that way when we spoke before. I was like, I just want to give Sam a big hug, and just, you are not alone. There is support out there, there is help out there,
and you've pushed through, and I think that is really, really, really amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
It brings to mind the quote, and I actually can't remember who said it, but it's that courage is not the absence of fear. It's being able to push through the fear and do, what is right. And I always think people look at other people who appear on the surface very confident and they've got it all together and everything else, and they've got no idea what's going on, inside of them. So I think this platform is really essential, actually, for those people who don't have, a close-knit circle of friends, who don't have their family nearby, to have the ability to connect with someone and share those experiences and know you're not alone. And I think that's it's such a powerful concept. And the fact that you've done it as a full-time teacher as well, and this is a passion project, and it has really, obviously it's hit a nerve. It's really, you've tapped into something that is absolutely crucial here. So tell us a bit more about, the sort of what people have begun to notice She Knows Best. Like, you've actually, it's reaching a really wide audience, isn't it?
It is indeed, Sara. And I actually can't quite believe how quickly it has grown and how many women have come to me to express their gratitude and their appreciation for such a platform. I know 7 years ago, young Sam then would be so proud of the platform that
That's okay.
I would be so proud of the platform I have created. And I am so excited to share it to the world, to the amazing women, both in the UAE and globally. In 4 months, we have over 70 women actively using the platform. And it has
gone up since the other day when we spoke to you.
I know.
So it's rapidly growing. It's rapidly growing.
It is indeed. And every woman that kind of joins our sisterhood and our movement, I welcome them with open arms, because I know that they feel safe, they feel heard, they feel valued when they use She Knows Best. To go back to your question, Sara, I'm incredibly proud of the sisterhood that we have created. And when I speak to other women, they want to shout about it from the rooftops. And, for me, again, this was a passion project. It's a dream that I've created this, but to have other women like yourself, Sara, and yourself, Janine, so excited and supporting such an initiative, it is absolutely phenomenal. We've been in newspaper articles. One was just released today. I know.
Can we see that? Is it a paper here?
It is. It's an online newspaper called the DXB News Network. So please check it out.
We'll have to put a link. We'll put that under the video.
We'll share that link for sure.
Yeah. Yes. I have also recently, last week, appeared in a online digital Pakistani female magazine where I'm talking about She Knows Best. I have spoken at events. It's incredible that in 4 months I've been able to do all of this. And I'm very excited, Sara, Janine, because I can see that this movement is growing and it's only going to get bigger.
So tell us a bit about the actual platform itself then. So when women go on, what sort of things are they? Obviously, there's the mental health aspect, things like social anxiety and maybe depression and feeling lonely and everything else. But are there other areas that She Knows Best tackles?
Absolutely, Sara. So When you join She Knows Best, the actual platform is based on the internet at www.sheknows-best.com. We have an Instagram page where I share the updates of latest posts and how quickly the word is spreading. But the actual platform for women to seek, share, and receive advice is on our official website. When you join the website, you have the opportunity of becoming a permanent member, which is absolutely free. And it just means that logging in and having updates when posts are submitted will go straight to your email, or you can join just on the spot. You might see an article that really resonates with you. And from there, it's super easy to leave advice for the poster. When you visit our website, you will see that there's a complete range of topics and posts that women themselves have posted about. They range from, loneliness and dealing with anxiety to marital situations, issues within relationships, body dysmorphia, domestic violence, lots and lots of advice based on workplace environments and how to manage some of those toxic scenarios. So it's a breadth of advice available to women who will then comment on those posts based on their own experiences. So, for example, if it is a post about workplace bullying, women who have experienced and dealt and managed with such situations will comment back completely anonymously to the post, offering you, emotional support that will hopefully resonate with what you're going through and support you with next steps on how to manage that particular situation.
It's absolutely remarkable. So one of the most unique aspects of She Knows Best is that the fact that women can ask and receive advice anonymously. Why do you think that specifically is such a powerful tool for women to be so open and seek that kind of support? Is it because they don't know people?
Janine, that's a fantastic question. And actually, I'm really glad we're speaking about this, because for me, what makes She Knows Best very different from the limited platforms that are out there is that our USP is anonymity. That is what makes us unique. It's what makes us different. And it's what makes us that safe space for women to share their deepest, darkest thoughts with us. Anonymity is important because, Janine, as I mentioned before, that's what stopped me from giving advice to another woman on a popular social media platform. And who knows, my words could have meant that she decided to stay in the UAE, or it could have meant that she decided, right, enough is enough, I'm going to move back to the UK. But that's what stopped me from sharing my thoughts with her. And I've spoken to women, Janine, I've spoken to women, both professionally and personally, and they often tell me that they are worried about sharing their innermost thoughts with others because they are afraid of severing close friendship ties, familial ties, and almost kind of, going into territory where they don't quite feel comfortable to be as open and as honest with their friends or family about things that they're going through. I had a very close friend talk to me about a particular scenario that she was dealing with within her marriage. And she said to me, before she even mentioned what it was, she said to me, I'm telling you because I can't speak to my family, because I know that they will not want to listen to me. They will tell me to just carry on. And I need you to sit me down and tell me what is happening here. What do you think I should do? So anonymity, to go back to your question, Janine, is absolutely vital in the success and safety of She Knows Best. And I know that when women are using She Knows Best, they've told me that this is the first time I've openly spoken about this. And when I read those comments, that's what She Knows Best is all about. That's how women feel safe. And that's how we will spark conversation about topics and themes that most women would not feel comfortable to talk about.
And is there a sort of, do you see a lot of the same themes? Obviously, you've got the topics, but do you see a lot of the same questions sort of popping up all over the place? Is there sort of a lot of similarities across the contexts and within that sort of topic? Or is it like so many different things? Like, are questions coming up, you're thinking, wow, I can't believe someone's going through it? Or do you sort of see almost like patterns repeating?
Sara, to be honest with you, it's a huge variety. So for someone who's dealing, let's say, with workplace bullying, how that affects people is very different. So when a woman writes on She Knows Best and seeks advice, what's her unique situation will be different to somebody else who has tackled or been through workplace bullying or is going through workplace bullying. I think that She Knows Best is a lifeline for women to share stories and to talk about their experiences. And with that, experiences and stories are unique to the people telling them.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, you might go on and see 2 posts about divorce, but the women writing them are speaking from their own perspectives, and everybody's perspective and everybody's story is unique. And that's what makes those posts, you know, so wonderful to read, because if you have given advice to a woman suffering from anxiety 2 weeks ago, the next post about anxiety, it affects her life completely differently. So you may want to respond to her in a different way.
And is there obviously, if there, because from what I understand, this is you moderate it, like it's not AI, there's no bots, you know, it's very carefully moderated. And obviously, you know, given that we live in the Middle East, and there are probably certain topics that come up that are very sensitive, you know, how do you deal with that aspect then? Are there sort of professionals that you send people onto? Do you, like, how would you deal with something that was very sensitive?
Sara, so it's a dream of mine that not only can women receive advice from She Knows Best, emotional advice. It's a dream of mine that women won't just receive emotional advice from She Knows Best. I also would like to extend that to professional and legal advice. And I'm super proud to say that we have a legal consultancy firm that we have partnered with. They are called Mahami.ae, and Mahami offer women legal expert advice. If there is a particular situation, like you mentioned, Sara, that may not, for legal reasons or for reasons that, you know, where we live, there may be limitations on certain things that we can post online. Women are then redirected to Mahami, where they can access legal expert advice, which means that they're not being misguided by people on the internet talking about something that their friend told them 2 weeks ago or something that they read on an unofficial website. This is real expert advice. And Sara, Janine, being in the UAE, the laws are changing and being updated regularly to reflect the society that we live in. And with that, it's really, really crucial that women receive up-to-date expert legal advice for their unique situations. We also have a multitude of coaches and professionals that are willing to work with the members and ladies of She Knows Best. And our sisterhood will allow women to be connected with those professionals. So women are supported emotionally, legally, and professionally.
That is absolutely amazing. And obviously with these coaches and your legal partnerships, this is how you maintain keeping the platform constructive and safe for the people that is commenting and making waves. You're making such a massive movement. It's amazing. I mean, I'm still stuck that a week ago you were only on X and now you are already on a higher amount of people. It is absolutely remarkable.
I think it's going to be growing exponentially.
Thank you, Janine. I'm so excited. I know, you know, Sara, Janine, when we spoke a little over a week ago, you know, it means that since we've spoken, women have seen what we're talking about and the discussions that we're having, and they want to be a part of that and have their voice heard. And that's what it's all about. It's not a trend and it's not just a website. It's a movement and it's growing.
And so how far reaching have you gone? I mean, you mentioned Pakistan, and I think you said that did you have to go to Saudi for an award or for an event, like for an evening? Was that right?
Yes. So we have been mentioned in different magazine publications in Pakistan. I was also invited by the Saudi Film Festival to attend the Red Sea Film Festival to watch a beautiful, beautiful film that had been submitted as their first Bangladeshi movie submission to the film festival. And it was a very touching and moving film about a woman struggling with the pressures of life whilst also being a caregiver for her mother. We also have a growing network of women that are using SKB, She Knows Best, in Europe, the UK, and the US. So
Gosh.
again, the movement is definitely growing, and I'm very excited to see, how this will spread, because at the end of the day, She Knows Best was formed and originates in the UAE, but that doesn't mean that it's only restricted to those borders. It's a global movement.
Mm.
So just in terms of, obviously, you've already shared that you suffer with social anxiety. What do you think, if you were to advise someone else who was struggling with something similar and they really wanted to move forward and achieve something in their life, what do you think for you helped you, despite those struggles, to actually achieve what you've achieved?
I would say, Sarah, I'm very proud of what I have achieved so far, and I'm very excited about what I hope to achieve in the future. But in no way am I fixed or healed.
No.
And I think that when I speak to other women or other women who are listening to this podcast today, I would like to tell them that this is a journey, and this is a journey that we're on together. And by having that sisterhood and those discussions about things that may be affecting my life, your life, other women's lives, it's about breaking those barriers and that stigma of, I can't talk about this, I've got nobody to talk about my worries and fears with. And I think for me, I would also like to tell the listeners and all of the women that may be thinking about using She Knows Best and utilizing the sisterhood of She Knows Best, that it's about emotional guidance and support. And ultimately, that's what's going to help you face those fears and deal with those situations that you may be thinking that you have no way out. There is no other option. I know for myself, like I mentioned, if She Knows Best existed 7 years ago, I may not have spiraled into a deep depression or started to develop social anxiety, because there may have been women that would tell me that it's okay. You can do this, go out to these networking events, be yourself. So I'm hoping that other women will find She Knows Best as a sanctuary to help them navigate some of these difficulties that we as women face.
I love that.
So do you feel that it was feeling as if you were the only one going through that you were sort of looking at the world and it was like everyone else seemed to have it together, everyone else seemed to be so confident, and it was a breeze for them? Was that the main thing then for you? You were like, I'm the only one that this is kind of, that you felt you were the only, you were really totally alone in that?
Absolutely, Sara. I mean, in my field of work, I would leave work on a Friday and I would dread the question, so what are you doing over the weekend? Because I know that I would be spending it alone. And there was only so many times that I could say, oh, I'm just having a quiet one. And, that impact that it has on your mental health, Sara and Janine, that I would not speak to anybody from Friday until I go back to work again on the Monday. And
Wow.
it was at first, it felt, for me, it's almost like I got used to it, that this is my normal. But I soon realized that actually, this is really upsetting me. It's really getting me down. And you start to question yourself, Sara and Janine. You start to think, am I unlikable? Is it me that's awkward, that people don't want to talk to me? And I think as well, Sara, I would also say that you do feel, when loneliness creeps in, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. I like my own company. I enjoy having my own time. But when that starts to become uncomfortable is when you know that there's a problem. I recently spoke to my fiance about it, and I said to him about some of the extent of my loneliness, and that I realized it's actually stemmed from when I was quite young, and that's become my normal. And as I've grown older into adulthood, it's been more and more difficult to manage, because you often you see social media and these women at brunches and at the beach and at these big gatherings, and you think to yourself, actually, that's not reality. There are women, real women like me, that have left work on a Friday, have made no plans because there's nobody to make plans with. And my fiance, he didn't actually realize that this is the reality. And I said to him, this was my reality. So I would say, Sara, that, to answer your question, it was definitely a very isolating place to be, a very isolating place. And in that moment, you do feel I'm the only one. If you're not speaking about how you feel with other people, you often start to keep that and internalize that feeling.
And ironically, that even if you do see someone who seems to have it completely together on social media and they're at the brunches and everything else, they could actually be desperately lonely as well. They might be surrounded by people, but they're not actually being honest with anyone. They're not being authentic. They're terrified of sharing, what's going on with them. So, it's not just for someone who, like you, maybe was in that situation where you didn't even have anyone to talk to, but there could be someone who's in a situation where they are feeling terribly lonely, but they're not actually alone. So again, it's that thing of sharing your feelings. And really, I think that thing of you are not alone. There are, millions of women around the world who I'm sure, have gone through something similar or have gone through something that they can relate, their struggle with this struggle over here. And I think it's all about, because here in Women Wise, the whole point of this show is actually to talk to women like you, to let people know that, in fact, people have gone through struggles and have pushed through and have got to the other side. And I think when you're on the struggle side of it, it can seem totally insurmountable. And it's to know that, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I think having that support system, and I think for women in particular, women are very tribal at the end of the day. We as you said, that sisterhood, that sort of tribe of women to support you. It's so important. Men are, I don't know, and it's a terrible generalization, I guess, but much more able to compartmentalize, or if they go out, they can just have very surface level conversations, that it doesn't have to be deep. But I think for a lot of women, having that deep and meaningful connection it's a lifeline.
Yes, it's exactly
100%.
what we're made of. It's exactly what we're made 100%. Of. And it's also toxic for not sharing and actually talking about it, because it's eating you up inside.
Yes.
And and I'm sure you can relate to the fact that is exactly what happened. And
yes,
how did that make you feel, if you think about it back then, not sharing your loneliness? How did that make you feel at the end of the day? It must have been a scary space to be in.
Janine, I'm going to be honest with you and all of our wonderful listeners. I was really ashamed, actually, really ashamed. I had told myself that the reason I was lonely is because perhaps I was unlikable. People didn't have time to speak to me. Maybe I didn't have enough to share with other people, that I wasn't a person of substance. I read a quote recently, a statistic recently, Janine, that said in the UAE, a study was carried out in 2022. And it reported that 44% of people stated they were lonely at least once a week. In a huge metropolis like this, 44% of people have recognized and acknowledged that they have felt lonely at least once a week.
That really has just hit me. That is a huge number of people. That's actually quite
And Sara,
shocking.
it doesn't end there. A recent study as well that also was released, Sara, Janine, it said that loneliness can affect your health in the same way that smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And that's when I realized that this has impacted my life, my mental health, but my body in ways that I couldn't even imagine. And that's why She Knows Best is here to pave the way forward for women to not only conquer loneliness, but to start talking, to start building bonds with other women, because loneliness is becoming, a huge problem, and some have even called it an epidemic.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely, when you actually think about it, and especially since 2020, where we were, we were pulled apart, we were deliberately, being kept sort of separate. I think, and if you already had that loneliness aspect, that must have amplified it, 100-fold. But in the world of the digital age, and even talking to you here on the Zoom rather than kind of in person, we have lost, I think, a lot of human connection. And one of the things that I definitely see, and I think, Janine, you would agree, is that people are hungry for the in-person, meetings. And it don't have to be, I mean, I went to one networking, it was 167 women. I came home and I had to go to bed. It was just exhausting. It was too loud. It was too many people. It was this kind of frantic. And I was like, this isn't for me. This is not somewhere. I'm not dismissing it. Obviously, for some people, they love that and they thrive on that. But certainly, as I've got older, I'm far less of the extrovert than I used to be when I was younger. I'm wanting kind of more smaller, more deeper conversations, more meaningful connections, a safer space. I think it's something that we're all looking for. But yeah, in terms of I think worldwide, I would say that loneliness has become definitely an epidemic. I think it's
crazy because the 44%, that is very high.
That's
that
shocking.
is very,
that was
very
3 years ago, Janine. 3 years ago that study was carried out. So 44% of our population in the UAE have said that they have felt lonely at least once a week. So it makes you think, how many women are suffering in silence? How many?
Absolutely. And it's that thing of, almost, because it is like a muscle to go out and to socialize, and you do have to exercise it. And I can totally imagine that the less you do, the harder it becomes. And then it ends up this kind of vicious cycle of, logically, and it's got nothing. And this is, you were saying, people like, pull yourself together, just go through, just go and do it. It's not a logical based problem. It's an emotional, gut based problem. You genuinely feel your body's like, no, this is dangerous for me to be in that situation. Absolutely. And how important it is to have compassion and not judge, not be, throwing out just these kind of very flippant kind of bits of advice, like pull yourself together and just do it. And I think people understanding, I suppose, really from the forum and reading the stories, even if you don't suffer from that particular problem, when you read someone else's account of what they've gone through, it can really make you go, oh my God, there are people out there and this is what they're suffering with. And to have, it's that, I love quotes, and I'm a bit terrible today, my brain's a bit gone foggy, the whole menopause thing, which is, you don't know what anyone else is going through, so just be kind. Yes. There's no need to just assume because someone, like one of my least favorite things is when if you're not smiling and you're walking down the street or you're in a situation and someone goes, come on, cheer up, the word, what's the worst that can happen? And you're thinking, I'm sorry, but this is such a judgmental kind of comment to make. It's like,
and it's Sara, it's that judgment that would really affect your self-esteem. That judgment, that comment,
you're already judging yourself.
Yes,
you're already judging yourself. So as soon as someone judges you, you're like, you see, I'm right. You see, I knew there was something wrong with me, and now someone's just confirmed it. So oh, there we go. Definitely something wrong with me.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly. Sam, it's amazing what She Knows Best has done in just a few months. What has been, and I'm sure you might know this, but what has been the most surprising or inspiring story that you came across from one of the women on this platform that really benefit from being part of She Knows Best? Are you able to share a story like that?
I would be able to share the story because it is on the website, and it's something that you'd be able to read. But it's about a woman realizing that she's her own best friend, and it goes back to what Sara was talking about in terms of having so many people around you, but still feeling so alone. And it's a woman, as opposed to asking for advice, it's her sharing her advice to the SKB sisterhood and telling them that it wasn't about having friends around her that weren't contributing to her life, putting her down, and it felt very one way. And when you read the post, you can really feel the emotion where she's tried and tried and tried to hold on to this friendship, but realized very soon that when it was the other way around and she needed that friend to be there for her, that friend was not able to be there. It may not have been in a malicious way, but it helped her to realize that actually perhaps this friend is not the sort of friend or the friendship that she is looking for. And she writes in the post that she has realized that she needs to be her own best friend and to do things for herself before relying and overly relying on other women to be that support system for her. And it is such an uplifting post because the comments are beautiful. And when I read that myself, again, Sara, you know, I moderate all the posts. So when they come to me, it's not AI, it's not a bot, it's not someone who you know, is outside of She Knows Best looking at the post. Nope, it's me, and I moderate every single one. And when I read these posts, it's posts like that that really uplift me and help me realize that She Knows Best is again a lifeline for women to share their innermost thoughts. And I thought that was such a beautiful post.
Amazing.
Oh.
So where is She Knows Best going? How do you envision I mean, after 4 months, you know, it's already growing, you know, exponentially. I mean, where will you be at the end of the year? What are your plans?
My main goal, I would say, when I first launched She Knows Best, is that it would help at least one other woman. And I'm so proud to say that now it's helping over 70 women.
Mission accomplished.
However, I'm not going to stop. I am going to carry on. Again, this is a passion project that I know, not that it's not a project that people want or women want. It's a project that women need. And I'm not going to stop. So I would like to continue to reach out to other mental health professionals, wellbeing professionals that would perhaps like to support our sisterhood. But I also want to tap into the corporate world and also reach those women that perhaps haven't got the, I would say, the avenues to explore mental well-being at that point in their lives. So I would love to kind of share SKB on a more corporate level. And also I would like to talk about mental health and well-being in schools as well, because I'm realizing that young people are starting to suffer from loneliness and poor mental health younger and younger in age. And it's something that I want to start talking about early on, especially with young girls, so that when they go into the big wide world and, you know, they're the next generation, and I want to have not just healthy bodies, but healthy minds for them as well.
I love that. It's amazing. It comes back to, you know, finding your strength in vulnerability, because your voice matters, your story matters.
Yes.
And there will always be someone ready to listen. And I think that is also what your platform is providing. There will always be someone to provide the right knowlage.
Always. And you know, it's Janine, it's a sisterhood. Like I said, it's not a trend, it's a movement. And that's when women come together.
Yes, incredible things happen.
Yes.
That's exactly why we're here. We're here to
Every time I say that, I'm like, who runs the world? Girls.
Girls.
That song pops up. Oh my goodness, it's been so inspiring to see your vulnerability and really sharing with us what you've been through and what you've achieved and what you still, as you say, you're still going through your own things, and you've got triggers that helps you to overcome these challenges that you're still going through. And I think that's the one thing that people need to also understand, that it's not a fix. She Knows Best. It's not a fixing platform. It's just a platform to really help you to go through these challenges a little bit more safely and not so alone.
Absolutely.
100%, Janine. Yeah.
Well, we have a short program today because we have a hard stop in a few minutes. Sam, thank you so much for being here. I know that we will see you again. We know that this is not the end of you know, the connection between Women Wise and She Knows Best.
No,
I feel like there's so much synergy here, and you know, we would love to support you and to get this out to as many women as possible. So we really do recommend that all the links are going to be below the video, where you can find She Knows Best, and you can go visit the platform, sign up, and share it with your women's groups. Absolutely. You know, post it in as many different places as you can, because you know, the more women who come on the platform, you know, those voices can really be heard, and more advice and just that support. And it feels like, you know, it's like She Knows Best is a person, isn't it? It's got a personality, and it's got a life of its own. You're like the guardian, you know, to just to mind it and to shepherd it. You know, as
I see Sam as the lighthouse.
Yeah.
You know, a lighthouse that lights to all the women.
But behind me is an army of strong women, and I couldn't do it on my own. There's an army of us.
I think it's what we all need. We need that army. We need that tribe.
Yeah. You're a
Yes.
testimony of the power of resilience and strength. So Sam,
Thank you.
congratulations on this platform.
Thank
We
you.
obviously wish you only the best, and we can't wait to see how you're going to grow, and even more so how we're going to keep on supporting each other. Thanks so much for being a guest with us. And thanks for our
Thank you,
listeners.
Janine.
From strength to strength. So yeah, thanks to our listeners. And remember, if you to like, to share, to subscribe on our YouTube channel as well. And please share this video far and wide so more and more women can see it. If you would like to be a guest on Women Wise, please do email us. The link is below. If you have an empowering story to tell, you have to be living in Dubai though, or based in Dubai in some way, shape or form. And yeah, look, let's keep supporting each other. Let's keep empowering women and, moving on up.
100%.
So thanks, Sara, Janine. Bye. Take care.
Bye.